Alright guys, Leonidas here. First time to the channel, welcome. Hope you enjoy the video. I don't do a lot of gear reviews just because there's so many reviews of things, of most things that are out there on the market. But I have a new item. I think this is only the second production run they've made of this backpack. So I decided I'd do a little first impression on it. And I'm getting ready to take it on a trip, and then when I get back I will do kind of give you my thoughts on it after 260 miles with the pack. So just a little history. I've used a lot of different packs over the years, since past 5 years. Just tried frameless, framed, just different things, and finally just got to the point where the only thing that was really working for me was a Z-Packs Arc Blast. I sweat a lot, I would get really hot, so I liked the Arc back just for the coolness of it. But I had also got to the point where I was really, even before I went to that pack, I started really liking carrying bear canister. So I started off and I bought, BV500 because it's the cheapest one for the weight, pretty much for the size. So I bought that, tried it with a Osprey pack I had for a summer trip, and it worked great. I really enjoyed using the canister. So I decided to spend the money and get the Barricade Blazer. So bear canisters are just, I carry a canister every trip. Doesn't matter if it's required or not. For me, I like the peace of mind. I like the ease of use. If you're interested in bear canisters, I have a video explaining why I decided to start carrying a canister and why I continue to carry a canister. So you can check that out. I'll put a link up here somewhere to that video. So the problem I had is the canister on most packs, or all packs I've had, you can potentially get it inside if you got a lower volume trip where you're not carrying a lot of stuff, like summer. A lot of times I can pack it in something if it's in the right positioning so that it doesn't kind of poke into your back. But this past year I did a through hike up the Benton MacKay Trail, and I was carrying a lot of food, and so I was using my Arc Blast, and I had to strap the bear canister on the top of the pack. And so what happened is, when you had 15 to 17 pounds between the canister and the food, all of that up top, when everything else I was carrying weighed 12 pounds or less, that really kind of threw off the weight of the pack. And so what happened is, over time I started noticing that my shoulder blades were hurting really bad, and what I came to the conclusion was I was actually like bowing forward to like pull the whole pack forward, because it was pulling backwards because of all that weight up high. And I had the load lifters adjusted and everything pretty good. I was able to tweak that some, but it just unconsciously I was just like pulling my chest together and like flexing my back to kind of keep that pack positioned. So by the end of the trip I was kind of frustrated. If you've seen the videos, I don't think you guys have gotten to the point where I got frustrated with the pack and I was like, I'm done with this Arc Blast. And at the time I was looking at a pack from Vargo that has a titanium external frame, carries the bear canister underneath, and it had about a 46-liter bag on top. And so I was like, well, 46 liters, that's still a little bit bigger probably than what I want, but because of situations with that pack, they were going to cut me a deal on it. So I kind of waffled back and forth on whether I really wanted to spend the money, and then I noticed when Z-Packs released the Arc Air, they had mentioned that you could put the canister inside in a certain spot. So I tried that on this past couple trips that I've done, and I still just really don't care for the way the canister carries. So back to this pack. So this is the Nunatak Bears Ears 50. So about a year or so ago, maybe more, maybe less, on Reddit, I had saw where Nunatak was looking for some people to use some prototype versions of this pack. And at the time, I just discounted it because it does not have the curved back, and I said, you know what, I don't want anything that's just going to sit on my back. So I just kind of, saw where a couple people were going to try it out, and I was like, I'm not interested. So I just kind of dismissed it from my mind, forgot it even existed. So maybe 2 months ago now, I guess, I saw something about the pack again, and after my experience on the BMT with it and some trips I have planned coming up, I really wanted something different than my Z-Packs pack. Since I always carry the Bear canister, I just wanted something else. So I saw this pack, and I like the fact that the canister goes underneath, and the top of this it's spec'd as a 35-liter pack. Now I packed, it's not packed right now. It's got the barricade underneath, and I've got my fin light just strapped on here. And my pack liner is inside, but nothing else is in it. I packed it pretty much everything I'm taking on my AT trip that's coming up, and I had this thing rolled all the way down, and I still had space. So it's got some volume to it. If you're scared of the 35-liter spec, I'm pretty sure I could easily get my winter kit in here and have plenty of room as well, just because the Bear canister carries under here. So that's, like I said, that's the specs. It's bottom carry, 35-liter up top, extension collar. It has no snaps or Velcro up top. It's got some softer panels that kind of give you a shape up here, so when you want to roll it down, you fold it in half, accordion style, and then fold it down, and it's got a single strap. Yeah, it goes over the top. So as you can see, it's got a lot of room. Big stretchy mesh in the front. Now, what's different on the stretch mesh on this is this actually goes all the way around the pack, so there's no separate side pockets. This is all one giant stretch pocket with a bungee at the top. So it's a little different than what you're used to, the side pocket. And since the side pocket's going to sit high, this isn't designed for you to be able to grab a water bottle out of and drink out of it. Okay, so they actually have these like side holsters that you can purchase with the pack to put different size water bottles in. I think it's anywhere from a 0.7 liter smart water up to a 1 liter Nalgene will fit in the side pockets that's strapped to the hip belt down low. Now I opted out of hip belt the water bottle pockets because I just didn't find it to be useful, because for what I want to do, I'm actually going to use shoulder pockets for soft flasks to keep my electrolytes, my electrolyte mix in those up top so they're accessible, and then I'm going to carry my cold soak container just in the back here. So I didn't see any need to have the holders on the side. So spec on this pack for a medium with a medium belt was about 25 ounces is what they listed. Mine came in at 730 grams, which is slightly over, I think it's almost 26 ounces, which is fine. Now, I really like the pack. The only option, if you've been around, I like orange. I had emailed a while back and asked if there was any way to get this in grid stock 210D orange, and I didn't get a response, which is fine because I'm sure they're busy and whatever. And they're just doing production runs on these. They're not really advertising these as something that they're doing custom work on, like their quilts and their jackets. So what I have noticed is when I got it, it came in 2-day shipping, I think, so I got it super quick. I actually ordered it from the trail when I was on the Fiery Gizzard, because it came in stock, and by the time I realized they were actually up, I had been checking throughout the day, all the small torsos were already gone, which was fine in this case, because in this pack I actually needed a medium, unlike my Z-Packs Art Blast where I use a small. So this, like I said, it's a medium torso, medium belt. Now, some things that I've noticed about it that I thought were kind of not necessarily bad, but it is overbuilt in my opinion. The strapping here, I think you could use a much more minimal strap and buckles and everything to hold the canister in place. The toggles that were originally here for the drawstrings for the sit pad area, or you can put trekking poles or different things. This loop was for an ice axe, and it had a bungee on it. There was a bungee up here on the daisy chain, and as you can see, the buckle up here from the strapping, pretty heavy duty. If it were me, I'd like to see eventually the option to go with smaller webbing and buckles on it. I actually did take all the bungees that they had on it off, including the straps here, and I actually unthreaded this one and rethreaded it with smaller bungee and smaller connectors. And then also on the front here, I've actually modified this one some since I got it. I put shoulder pockets on here, like I said, for my flasks. I actually changed out the torso, or the chest strap. Can't think of what the actual thing is called at the moment, but I changed that out for one off my Arc Blast because it was smaller and weighed less. And I put my hip belt pockets from my Z-Packs pack on here as well. And so I got it down with those changes that I made without the weight of these, because I have these listed separately in my weights. I knocked almost 30 grams, almost an ounce off the pack by just changing out a couple things that were easily changed and easily changed back if I ended up deciding that I didn't like the pack or I wanted to sell it or whatever. So I did make some modifications, but everything I've modified so far was things that were easily modified back to original if for whatever reason I needed to do that. Again, the hip belt, I've put it on and carried it around. I loaded up my summer stuff in it. I think I mentioned that, and I thought it carried pretty well. Very supportive in the hip belt. The hip belt's really nice and thick. The shoulder padding is pretty nice that I've noticed. I do think personally, for me, I think, you know, if you see this is kind of like what you would see on an Osprey pack, a big heavy duty buckle with webbing. You know, again, to me, thought is you could go with something like Z-Packs where you've got the two, you know, 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch webbing straps that come together and you pull, and then you've got the small single buckle. You know, that's more my thing, but you know, for what it is, they did a really good job on building this. I think it's going to last a long time. So that's just kind of my initial thoughts on it. Like I said, it feels, when I loaded it up with my summer stuff, I had plenty of room. I think this will easily carry my winter loadout as well when I have my quilts doubled up, bigger sleeping or thicker winter sleeping pad, things like that. So things to note on it. It works with certain bear canisters. So this is the Barricade Blazer. It also will work with the BV500. As you can see, it's actually longer than this, even though it's less volume. It does not work with the 450. It will not strap properly to hold it in place. And the Barricade models, it will work with an Expedition. I think it will work with the Weekender, which is a little bit smaller than this one, but it will not work with the Scout, I know. So that's just some things to keep in mind. But other than that, I'm ready to take it out. Like I said, I'm going to put about 260 miles on it and give it a test go and see how I like it, and hopefully it works out. And when I get back, I'll make another video and let you know what I think about it after 250 miles, if I had any issues with it or if anything had any problems with it. Nunatak does have a warranty. I believe it was a lifetime warranty on it. So we'll see if that needs to be used. And, you know, we'll just kind of take it for a run, see what happens, and hopefully this may be my new pack permanently. So, alright, so thank you guys for watching. I'll keep you up to date on the pack.